Hey, can you hear me, Shelby?
I hear you, man.
All right. Hey guys, gals, I'm Roger with Squatch and Holler, and I know it'll take a little while for some people to come in, but you can go back and watch this, rewatch and share. We've got about 30 minutes tonight with Shelby Lee Lowe, country singer. He's a local guy. He's doing really well, traveling all over the country, and he got in touch with me a few weeks ago. He listened to a podcast and it kind of surprised me because we talk about these things and real people are experiencing these real things. And I love this. And Shelby, we can get started. How did you get interested in the weirdness, the Sasquatch, UFOs, stuff like that?
Yeah, man. Well, with the start out with the UFOs. Um, I don't know. I guess I've always been open minded to the idea of stuff coming here from other planets or whatever. But um, I didn't really put a lot of thought into it really until I had an experience that and that was back in like 2000, probably 4 or 5, before I had my driver's license in the summer of that year. And I had a life changing experience that I saw something, and it kind of, it really made me believe in UFOs. And, it's always something that's been in the back of my mind, but I didn't talk about it much.
Right.
And then I had a guitar player friend. He brought up something about UFOs, and my ears perked up. I'm like, oh, I've had an experience myself. And then he introduced me to the Joe Rogan podcast and David Fravor and their experience. And I kind of just got down that rabbit hole of listening to stories like that. And then 2017, when the article in the New York Times came out about the government confirming that these stories are real and the videos are real, it just kind of confirmed, what I had felt and seen. You see something like that, it's like you think you're crazy almost, and you try to ration it out every way possible. But at the end of the day, it's just like I know I saw something out of this world. It's crazy. So
Yeah. And you grow up seeing airplanes and helicopters and the things on TV. You know how things move. We know uh, the normal stuff. And when you see something that makes you question, what you're looking at. I had the same thing happen to me when I was about 17 in Mooresville, actually. And, if it went north, south, east, and west when it left, I probably wouldn't ever talked about it. But it was a clear night, stars, and it went straight up just instantly out in space. And that feeling, I always, tell people you have the Shelby 5 seconds before that experience, and then you have the Shelby 5 seconds after that, and you're like, what in the world? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like you said, it changes everything. So if that's real, now you got these different rabbit holes. What else is real? I understand. I've been there, and it's it. So how did when it was just? I guess you're a little self conscious about sharing it before uh, you met your friend there, and it makes you feel better when they believe you and start talking about that experience. And his,
absolutely, man. Yeah. I guess I should tell you about that experience, but
yeah,
so it was the summertime, like I said. It was like a year or two before I got my driver's license because I couldn't drive yet. And my buddy Brandon was over at the house, and I lived on Spring Place Road out in the middle of the boonies out there. Of course, I called it Possum Trot, really Archer technically, but Possum Trot sounds a lot cooler than Archer does. So
I
I'll
like
say I was in Possum Trot, close enough.
those stores about halfway there. I drive by there sometimes.
Yeah, man, I need to get rich one day and buy that and open like rebuild it or something.
I
Put some
drink
pool
coffee there in the
tables.
morning.
I used to love going there as a kid, man. But yeah, I grew up in a little log cabin out there. There was no light pollution. You could see every star in the sky, and as a kid, I just loved to look up at the sky and just see how beautiful the universe was. I mean, it really it hasn't been that. I haven't been anywhere where I could see the stars that bright in a long time,
Right.
because there's just light pollution probably even there now, um, me and my buddy Brandon was hanging out. It was nighttime, and we're just swimming. Had an in-ground swimming pool in the back, and we're just talking or whatever, hanging out. And suddenly he says, "Have you ever seen a green star?" And I was, "What?" And we look up. I look up in the sky, see what he's seeing, and it's just like it looks like the north is as bright as the North Star would be or something, but it was green. And we're sitting there watching it. We don't say anything, and then it changes colors, and it changed from green to red to yellow, like the color of a star, like a whitish yellow, like a star would be. And it changed colors like that, and we're just looking at each other like, what the hell's going on? And your heart starts beating fast. Like, is this a helicopter? In my head, I'm thinking this has to be a helicopter doing something, but I've never seen a helicopter that was flashing colored lights. Um,
Right.
to this day, I haven't seen a helicopter changing lights anywhere. Um, Maybe a drone or something of that nature, but it then it turned back to green, and then it started getting bigger in size, uh, almost like it was getting closer, and it felt like it was almost directly above us and getting closer. And
So coming down at you then from above.
coming down at me, it
Oh
got
Lord.
as big. This is the way I describe it. It was as big as if it was the light from a helicopter. That helicopter would have been loud as hell. I feel like, you
Right.
know what I mean. And
Right.
there's no sound whatsoever. And that moment that you're talking about, where like your whole life flashes before your eyes, and everything you ever thought was anything changes. Heart starts, racing, and it just you just has overwhelming feeling like that thing is right above us. It sees us and knows we're here. It's coming at us, and we jump out of the swimming pool and we just haul ass and get my mom. And so yeah, and my mama comes out of the cabin, and it got smaller. It got back down to like a normal size. And I talked to her about the other day. She just remembers seeing a light that moved around.
Yeah.
She never saw it get to that big size to the way we saw it. And by the time she saw it, it got back down to like a little bit bigger than a star would be, and it was the color of a star. But it
That's
would move, in a kind of a weird way. It didn't do anything. It didn't shoot up really fast. It didn't move, in any kind of crazy way that I guess maybe a helicopter couldn't. But it was just eerie feeling. It would just slightly move, just a little bit, just real smooth, like left and right. And then if we watched it for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it
wow.
moved all the way across to our front yard, and we looked at it through binoculars, and you could see like smaller, like tiny. You could barely see, just like a smaller little light that would interact with it, almost
Wow.
like a lightning bug or something. And back then I didn't have a cell phone with a camera or anything like that.
Right.
I had one of those flip phones that you could, do the crazy texting on. But I had like a early digital camera, and I recorded that light. And I don't know what happened to that camera. Haven't seen it. Um, I mean, if you try to go out and record like a star with your iPhone, and that's with the iPhone, you could imagine how bad the quality of
Yeah.
that digital camera was. But
But and when you're I'm listening as you're talking, and one thing that stands out and scares me is when your mom came out, it went up and it hid in plain view. It looked like a star. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
kind of scary to think, because we're not astronomers. We know the Big Dipper and all that stuff. I mean, who I wouldn't notice a star out of place in a normal spot, odd spot. That is scary. And you
Yeah,
know
I
that.
wonder if we hadn't noticed it, if we just stood there, if we might have got abducted or something. But like, I knew in my heart that like in that split second, like, oh crap, I'm about to get abducted by aliens. Aliens are real. This is going down. And once I calmed down, I started going through the scenarios like, okay, could that have been a planet doing something weird? Well, I mean, it moved all the way across the sky, you know.
Yeah.
Um, it did really weird stuff. And I thought, could it have been some sort of, you know, I thought like maybe it's like some kind of test vehicle, because I know there's military bases around and Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville. It's like who knows what it could be, but it was just a really eerie. It was like this feeling that I had in my soul, like I gotta get up, get out of here. I'm about something bad's gonna happen.
Something wasn't
And
right.
me and my buddy Brandon went to school the next day or the next whatever day, and we told people about it, and they're like, "Y'all are crazy, man! Like, y'all saw some, the whole swamp gas thing, or like that was some kind of illusion." They don't
Well,
think we were lying; they think that we like saw what we
misidentified.
saw.
Right. And so that's what people usually do, because we say all the time that just the thought of something like that existing scares a lot of people.
Yeah,
And so they reject it, they laugh, uh, and you told me that y'all seen them some recently where you're
yeah,
at now, right?
yeah. So I live like it's about maybe a 6-minute drive from where that incident happened. The house I live at now is right down the road from it. Um, and we had just moved in and didn't have blinds over the windows. And, my little girl was 3 months old at the time. I had just got done playing a really late show in like Florence, Alabama. And, yeah, I get home and I'm, still hyped up from playing. And my baby girl, it's my turn to try to get her to go to sleep. So I think it was like January or February of 2021 now. And was it 21? 20, it could have been 22. Yeah, I guess it was like just last year. That's that recent. Um, but I was holding Millie on my chest, and I was laying on the bed looking out the window, and I was writing a song in my head, and I could hear the train down the road that you probably hear better than I do because you're closer to it.
Yeah, I see my
I heard
backyard
that
now.
train going down, and I was just writing a song in my head and just looking out the window. And it's the weirdest thing, Roger. It's like exactly where I was looking out the window, this light pops into my line of sight. It just, it's just like a star. It was like watching an airplane. I thought I was watching an airplane go, but the
Right.
airplane stopped and it just barely got into my line of vision. And then it just kind of hovered there and it would kind of go back and forth. And it was like brighter than a star would be. It was like looking at a helicopter airplane, but it was obviously not a helicopter airplane.
Yeah.
And like my heart started racing again. And I thought, oh my God, am I really seeing what I think I'm seeing? So
Here we go again.
I nudge my wife, I shake her, and she's like, "What is going on?" And I point out the window, and she looks out the window, and she immediately sets up, and she immediately knows, like, "Oh my God, what am I looking at?" And we watched this light. It was like an orb. You couldn't tell a shape. It's just like a bright white orb. We
Yeah.
watched it just um, kind of float around, and it would move. It would move in real subtle movements, but not like it's like a smoother motion than if you're watching a helicopter move out there, it'd be kind of jerky or something. There'd be some inertia.
I
I get if that makes sense,
I
but
know
it's almost
exactly
like a
what you
laser pointer.
I know
You know,
exactly what you're talking about. So smooth that it's almost like it's on maybe magnetic rails or something. Uh,
yeah,
just saying, just that smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. Let me get some lights in here. I'm getting dark.
It got dark quick.
There we go.
There you go.
But yeah, it was that was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're sitting there watching this thing, and we're like, trying to figure out what it could be, and we watched it through binoculars, and that really shook us up. It scared my wife, and it kind of scared me too a little bit, but it was one of those feelings again to where, like, I guess also too, where so random at 3 o'clock in the morning, it still kind of gives me chills thinking about it. But like looking out the window and that light just going right into my line of vision, it almost seemed too, like coincidental. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like
It
it
was
pointed,
weird. It,
like
it
something
felt
was
like,
pointing directly at you.
yeah, I felt so seen, and me and Rachel both had this overwhelming feeling of like being seen, like that thing knows we're seeing it, and that could just be nerves or craziness, but that's what you feel in the moment,
Right.
And we
Has she ever experienced anything like that before? And herself before that?
no, she'd never experienced any kind of UFO or alien type of whatever you want to call it,
Right.
UAP. She'd never seen anything like that before, and she'd heard my story, and I think she believed me, but I don't know that she did. But
Yeah.
after her experience, she's 100. I'm still open minded and skeptical, but
Yeah.
she is convinced that we saw some sort of either alien or interdimensional something because
When it
just the way
lasted
it
so long.
moved,
Right.
and we watched it for so long. People, we posted about it on Facebook that morning. I mean, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. I was like, "Hey, is anybody on Coostie Branch seeing what I'm seeing?" And you get comments like, "What are y'all smoking up there,
Right.
man?" And
Yep.
stuff like that. And
Yep.
I get it, but some people comment like, "Oh yeah, there's somebody flying drones around here." But I'm like, well, I actually hired a drone pilot for a music video I did that you saw that the Moores Restores in where there's
Right.
country. I
Yep.
got to talking to him about it. I'm like, is there any chance that I could be seeing a drone at 3 o'clock in the morning that's hovering in
For
front of
that
my
long.
house for two or 3 hours?
Right.
And his reaction was, well, first off, if you're flying after dark, you have to have like an FFA license to fly a drone. So if there's somebody doing that, they're doing it illegally.
Hmm.
Um, unless that there's nobody, you're not allowed to fly drones at 3 o'clock in the morning, apparently.
Right.
Uh, and to do it for that long, it would have to be like an industrial strength, top of the line, crazy, um,
Very expensive.
powerful drone.
Right.
And I mean, that could be the case, I guess, but it just feels, it just felt so unnatural, man. I find it, if it is a drone flying around, I want to know who's flying it. Why are they flying around um, my neighborhood at 3 or 4 in the morning? What are they trying to do? And I don't know. I got as many questions about that as I would like a alien or interdimensional thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
who the hell is that doing that at 3 or 4 in the morning?
Well, I I have heard stories from where you saw the first one, Mr. Don, and if you watch some of those interviews or get to watch them, him being a former game warden, he was out a lot of different places, and they had some up close personal UFO experiences to the fact that he became a MUFON investigator back in the day. I'm getting people saying they can't see our chat. I'll have to fix it later, but I know you wrote the song "Weirder Than You," and it's a fun song, and I was kind of laughing. I Guys, I got somebody calling me, telling me they can't see me in chat. Oh, sorry about that. So anyway, where was I at? Oh, you wrote the song, and I showed it to a guy today. I sent him the link, and he about died laughing when you said you was a member of a Facebook Bigfoot group. That's hard to say. And he said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it killed me," when he said that. I'm like, yeah, but he actually is, probably more than one. And you we're kind of short on time. Would you tell the audience how you got interested in that? That's a cool story, but and there's a lot of people remember that story. I want to tell you from your
Well,
dad.
yeah, man, that is cool. And you're talking about Don and his UFO experience. I listened to your chat with him, and when he said that he saw what he saw on Spring Place Road, I got chills up and down my back, man. I'm like, what the hell's going on, man? But yeah,
Yeah,
so the Bigfoot side of things, my dad passed away a year ago, just a little bit before your father did, and before he died, his last year of life, he spent a lot of time watching Bigfoot videos on YouTube. He was obsessed with Bigfoot, and I had never been the kind that gave it two thoughts. I just
right,
like there's not enough evidence for me. There's not enough, I just found it real hard to believe that there could be a creature like that is, among us, and we don't have more evidence.
right.
And I'd kind of tease him about it, but not but in an open-minded way. It's like, well, maybe it is, but I asked him why he was so interested in it and why he believed in it, and he said he thought that he had maybe seen one when he was a teenager. He was parked in a car um, on Cherry Corner, which is 5 seconds from where I live right now,
Right.
and he was doing what teenagers do, and he said that all of a sudden something scratched the side of his car, and he said all he saw was fur. He saw black fur, and that's all he saw. And he said he got the hell out of Dodge,
Yeah.
and that's all he ever told me. And he might have saw more and didn't say it, but that's all he ever said to me. But he did say that he told some folks and everybody laughed at him. But he said that he had a farmer that's in the area that came to him, that sought him out and said, "Hey, I heard about what happened to you." He said, "I saw what you saw," and nobody ever mentioned a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch
Right.
or a Yeti or anything. They
It's
just called it what they saw. He didn't describe it, but
it
I don't
that's
know.
funny. That's funny you just said that, but they didn't call it Bigfoot. I'm fixing to tell you a story, give you chills. You know where the line of road is, of course, just right
Yep.
around the curve there. When I was about 3 years old, we lived over there. It's a little place. It was not officially named Rocky Ridge, but there's a little sign there. And my mom and dad rented this little house. It's probably not bigger than this room. And we were up on the hill there. Well, the guy that owned the place was from Nashville and had lived there. His last name was Rose. I think I remember. And he was there one evening talking to them. He might have been collecting rent or something. He had his family with him. And my dad, just chit chatting. He said, why'd you move back to Nashville? You had a pretty house over here, whatever. And he kind of looked like he didn't want to continue. But he said, "Well, I'll tell you the truth. We were on the back porch one night, all sitting there. We were me and my wife was in the swing. We had some family in some chairs, and right around the corner there was a security light, and we could see it, shining into the backyard. And he said my son was at the corner of the house on the porch, facing us. We're all talking, and several of us are looking that way. He said he saw a big hairy arm come just out of the behind the house right there, and it swiped at his son, and everybody, the women screamed, and he said he thought it like it just touched its hair, his son's hair, and of course he dove at him, grabbed him, and they went in the house, and the ones that saw it saw the same thing, an incredibly long arm, big arm with hair, black hair. And he never used the word Bigfoot at that time because I never had heard that word. And my dad said, "What do you think it was?" He said, I don't know, but it scared us bad enough. We sold the house and moved back to Nashville.
Wow.
And that would have been 74. So I don't know when your dad's experience was, but as a crow flies, you're not talking about that far. And
Not at all.
some of these farmers talked amongst themselves at times. And I'm glad he went to your dad because a lot of times when you see stuff like that, even now, you feel like you're alone. And that's why I started, talking to Mike at first and going and telling my story because it's like a big relief. And um, I know we could talk about this stuff, and we're going to. I want you coming back. We got a few minutes. Let's talk about like where you're going to be at tomorrow night and what you got plans coming up in your. Because a lot of people, they may not know you. You how many albums do you have?
Man,
Like,
I got two full length albums and I got a couple EPs, and I'm in the process of trying to get ready to put out some more music,
okay,
and I'm working on that right now. So, um, yeah, I've been real fortunate. I've been lucky. I've been able to write with a bunch of good people and record songs for years. But tomorrow night I'm going to be in Florence, Alabama at Flowbama. Then I'm playing in West Tennessee for a private show, and then I'm playing a lot of shows locally. And
hmm
then September 29th, 30th, I'll be in Kansas City. Um, October 7th, I'm playing Honky Tonk Heathens Festival in Loretta, Tennessee. That'll be fun. And, I think you spoke to one of my neighbors this week. And it's funny, before we had this conversation, I just saw one of my neighbors getting food, and we had this conversation about seeing stuff. And I've actually talked to a handful of my neighbors about what I've seen, and they've all seen similar things,
yeah,
And since that last time me and Rachel saw that light, there was a stretch of about 6 months last year where we could go out on our back porch and we could pretty much pick out two or three different places, and we would see it looked like a star. And if you weren't paying attention, it would just be a star. But if you watch it long enough, it would like jut and do some kind of weird stuff.
wow,
And it was popping up in the same place every night. And now this year, same time of year, that those things are gone. I don't know where they went or what they were, but um, it's well known in my little neck of the woods here that there's some weird stuff, man. So
yeah. And see what happens when you tell your story. When you start talking about it, people come out of the woodwork like, "Hey, man, I know exactly what you're talking about," because and it's kind of comforting and scary at the same time. But it lets you know and your wife know that you're not crazy because I've gone through
right,
that myself. And
we
it's
are
just
crazy, but at least at least we really are seeing what we think we're seeing.
exactly right.
But
Well, you
yeah,
know,
man, it's been cool, and I don't know if I told you this story real quick or not. And I know I told you 30 minutes, but it ain't gonna hurt.
okay, yeah,
A few minutes after. Hell, I'm already in it. I probably won't get in too much trouble if I go a couple minutes after. But the reason I really wrote weirder than you, um, I was listening to a lot of Roger Miller at the time, and he's got all kinds of quirky songs. And
yeah,
I've always been just kind of I appreciate that kind of songwriting. But I played a show in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, and when I pulled up, there was a van out front that it had Sasquatch painted on the side, and he's holding a raccoon, and it says the Beast, and on the front of it there's a big old bald eagle. And I was like, "Oh my God, what is this masterpiece?" I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And I met the guy who owned it inside the bar, and I got to talking to him about it. I was like, "Hey, I love your Bigfoot thing," just expecting him to be just like me or somebody that watched a couple Bigfoot shows. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I saw Bigfoot when I was 12 years old with my granddaddy in Arkansas." I was like,
wow,
"What?" I was like, "What? Are you kidding?" I was like, "Okay, this guy's crazy. Obviously, this was before my dad talked to me about his experience, I think." But he said, yeah, me and my granddaddy was in Arkansas, and we saw a Bigfoot and had a kid. He claims to had a kid, and I can't remember exactly what all he told me, but one thing he told me is that he would have dreams where he spoke to that Bigfoot and they communicated like telepathically or something in his
Yeah.
dreams. And I was like, wow, this guy's probably a fruitcake. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, that's interesting. What if that's real?
Right.
And since I've started my little rabbit hole of studying Bigfoot, I've found that Arkansas is one of the biggest states there is for Bigfoot sightings. You know, there's
Yeah.
a movie in the '70s, the Boggy Creek Monster,
Right.
um, about Bigfoot. Now, if I ever talk to that guy again, I'm gonna ask him how close he is to where that
Yeah.
was.
That Falk, Arkansas, Fouk, maybe, I believe.
Yeah, like
Falk, yeah.
Falk or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Falk. Yeah. I'm telling you, welcome to the world. It's gonna get crazy because after that people see you on here, you may get messages to come on, and tell your stories, and another thing, you're in a great spot the way you travel around to talk to people and gather stories. You know.
Man, let me tell you, I played in New Mexico 2 or 3 times this year, and just the UFO nerd in me, I wasn't close to Roswell, but I wanted so bad to just like drive down there and check it out. But yeah, it's really cool, man. You know, I'm I try to remain skeptic because I see a lot of stuff floating on the internet and it winds up being fake or whatever.
Right.
So I never put too many eggs in a basket.
Right.
But I'm open minded too, man. You know, I mean, there's I think there's just more to the universe than anybody really knows. You know, so
Well,
that's the way I look at it.
I'm gonna tell you, you've come to the right place because the contacts some of us have made. If keep watching the shows and keep in touch for sure. I mean, because I want to do this again when we have time, and I really I, I love it because you're just scratching the surface right now, and me and you we're gonna get together, me and you, my son, and we're either going to pick a place in the daytime because I don't know about nighttime. I'll sit and listen in the truck. The
uh,
daytime, we'll pick a spot. I know, and I know some actually some public land I've wanted to go to for a while and just look for signs. Look for
yeah,
whatever. And I've heard some stories from this area too. Uh, I don't want to go by myself, so I'll. You can run faster than me, so I'm about to get somebody
yeah,
slower
man.
than I
Yeah, I might trip you if I have to. You know.
am.
But
Right,
yeah, man, it's one of those things where like I'm interested in it, I'm intrigued, and it's just like anything else. Until you have your own experience, it's really hard to comprehend or believe anything.
yep,
And that's where I am on Bigfoot. I just it's just so it's just so crazy to think. But I got everybody's got the same questions. Why is there so many sightings?
right,
And it's been a thing for so long, yet there's no physical evidence, and there's no real. I mean, my dad, he was convinced that the Patterson Gimlin footage was real, but it's just one of those things where like unless you see it with your own eyes,
right,
it's hard to
right.
comprehend. So, hey, maybe me and you go out and we'll see one of these days, and then people really think I'm crazy, right?
No, hey, we already know that. You're good. But Shelby, I appreciate you doing this, and this is just the start of it. We'll get together when you got more time, and we may have like a roundtable discussion, and I'll include you, and you're I think you're about to have your mind blown with some of this because um, there are people that live in areas that they just I don't say they live with them, but they have to adjust their lifestyle. And this has
That's
been going
awesome.
on. This has been going on for a long time. This group in South the Giles County that I talked to a couple of weeks ago, they had to change how they did things because they lived with they said the big monkeys, for years. And whether it was hunting or
Yeah,
or just going in at night to their house and not irritating them enough where they'd scream at them and come running at them and stuff. So yeah, we're
That's
just
crazy,
starting.
dude. The last thing I'll say, and I'll get off here, and I told you 30 minutes. Now I'm going over. I can't stop talking to you because I'm just a nerd on this stuff, man. But,
Hey,
the reason I found you, and I was so excited when I found your podcast, I got to thinking, I was thinking about my dad, and I was thinking about like how he was so obsessed with Bigfoot there at the end, and so convinced that he was real. And I just thought to myself, well, I wonder if anybody in Marshall County had ever reported a Bigfoot sighting. So I just Googled it, and before I found your podcast, um, I found 2 sightings in Chapel Hill, right along the Duck River, right off of 99,
Yep.
and I found I found 2 in Giles County, right along 64,
Yep.
and then I found your podcast, and I didn't realize who you were when I was listening to the podcast with was it Jeremiah?
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder where he's talking about. And then I heard you mention like Simmons Ridge.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God,
That
he's in
that pin,
Cornersville.
that
I
pinpointed it.
flipped
Yeah.
out, man. So it's been cool. It's been cool getting to know your story and Kevin Wright's story and Don's story. It's like, yeah, maybe my daddy wasn't as crazy as I thought he was.
He wasn't. And that's a good idea. Maybe we all can get together around a fire one night and just share stories, because you talking about a long night with Kevin and Don and me and you. We can have some, we can do something like that. That would be awesome.
I'll bring the Jack Daniels, man.
There ain't water in this cup right here.
Hell yeah. Hey, brother, I appreciate you having me, man. I'll do it again anytime.
All right. Hey, you got my number.
See you, Roger. Thank y'all
yes,
for
sir.
watching.
Thank
man.
you.
Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. Hey, Greg. Here's what I want to do. I've got problems with the chat, so I want to go out and I'm gonna create another one live. Send you an invite, and we'll just do a whole nother link.
Yeah, it's showing up and it's like targeted for kids or something, and it won't let you have a live chat.
Okay, let me.
Yeah, just send it to me, and we'll pop back on.
You might have to call Misty and get some tech support.
We'll get her to walk us through it.
All right, I'll make another one. Send you an invite. Everybody that's watching, there's just a few of you.
Give us a minute.
Just a minute, and we'll be right back. And then we'll leave this studio. There we go.